the place where we were living had to be close to airports because we were flying here and there all the time, many times, and we had the plan of after 60 to take a better to be closer to our parents, and my parents are like there are lots of people around, a good church. My brother is there, many um, como é neto mesmo, é neta? Grandkids, many grandkids around, and but her parents were pretty alone. So we moved closer to them. We were 4.5 or 5 hours, depending on the traffic, from them. Now we are less than 1 hour. Uh, I didn't want to be 15 minutes because mothers-in-law. That's that's an awful joke. That is an awful joke. Sorry about that. I love my mother-in-law so much. We when we are together, we are joking to each other all the time. But she has been going through a very hard time in terms of health, and we are there supporting, close, and since they were 70, we were paying very close attention on them. But now they are over 8. My parents are 88, 80, and her parents, she is 18, he's 83, almost 84. Is that right? Uh, and so it's being close to them has been a blessing. That's why we moved to that area. And so the airport is not that close, but we don't travel as much as we used to. So it's not a problem. So I didn't tell you the name, brother, because Caraguatatuba is not for many people. It's what word is that? It's a Brazilian word. Oh, sorry, Guarani, Indian tribe. Whoa, whoa, tribe. Piraburu. Is this Peterborough? No, no. Peterborough is Peter. Peter is very American. It's not Indian. Is it Indian? No. Muskoka, maybe. I don't know. So I will ask them to show a video. This video gives you an update. And for those who don't know the ministry in Brazil, gives you an idea of each state. It's like not exactly 3 minutes, it's a little bit longer than that, but we'll give you an idea. So let's see the video and we go from there. Hi, dear sisters and brothers. Marcio Garcia here, speaking from Brazil to update you on the ministry going on in the fishing communities, remote fishing communities along the Brazilian coastline and the riverside communities in the Amazon window. I am going from state to state where we are working or we have partnerships in Brazil. So the first one is Paraná and São Paulo state together. Even they are two separated political states, they are in the same biome, the same ocean channels crossing there, the same kind of islands, exactly the same kind of people, same culture, etc. We work along the coast there with over 60 communities, most of them already with the gospel because we work there for many years, and the ministry there is mainly church planting and healthcare programs and little community development projects, but also sport projects with this new generation that don't know the gospel. So we call that Aces for Life. These are soccer schools. Brazil loves soccer. So it's very easy to gather people, all the ages, around soccer. So this is one of the strategies that is always very good. But we also have the camp, just starting these weeks, a camp for bringing these people from several communities together and to give them something deeper, especially teenagers and youth. So we are going super in the Paraná state and the São Paulo state doing that kind of ministries, church planting by reaching all the communities, by sports camps and training for natives. For example, São Paulo state,
We no longer have pastors from cities. The fishing communities gave birth to great leaders who now are pastoring the worshiping communities we planted several years ago. So the churches are already led by natives. And we have a continuous training for leaders in that area. So it's very good. And Paraná is a partnership today. We started the ministry back in the 1980s, very early, even before EMAF was established. And along the years, all the communities received the gospel. And we have a partnership there with SEC, Evangelical Community of Curitiba. And they are doing a great job. Now let's talk about Bahia State. Bahia State has the longest coastline amongst the Brazilian states. And when we got there first in 1991, we only found candomblé. Candomblé is a kind of voodoo from the Portuguese colonies in Africa. So when they brought the slaves, they brought this religion with them. These people were brought to Brazil and they mixed with Portuguese and with tribal people, and they didn't like the slavery, and they had to find a place where people would never reach them, would never find them. They went to the islands and became fishermen. About a century after, we got there to share the gospel. And it's amazing that these people who were so connected to evil and to demons and stuff so easily understood the gospel and received Christ. And one of the things I learned is that they were ready to relate to the spiritual world. Now, the ministry grew. There are churches in all the places, and EMAF, our organization that is very pioneer, we start from scratch, didn't feel comfortable. That's what we do. We establish a church, we plant a church, bringing the Brazilian church with us. So when they are not comfortable, we are super comfortable. So when the ministry grows and the churches are there, we are no longer as comfortable as we used to be in the pioneer stage. And so they take over and we go to another area. And in Bahia, it happened some years ago. The ministry was so big that we had to create another missionary organization that is more focused on discipleship, training of natives, and keeping on with the ministries. And these people are getting saved, healthier, and poverty is no longer a problem. And this is an amazing result. Now let's talk about Piauí and Maranhão states. We established the base in Piauí state back in 2001 and the Maranhão state in 2016. But these states they have border between them. And the reality is pretty much the same in terms of culture and needs. Our missionaries reached at first, we planted church, that's what we do. We plant the church, and now we are in that stage of training native people, not only to serve there, but to serve in other areas. In Piauí, for example, I think we have 21 missionaries there today, and only 4 of them are from the cities. All of the others are natives, and they are reaching their own people. Also have community development projects like My Little Fish. It is a program to kids, not only to keep them safe of abusement and stuff like that, but also to teach them properly in the Bible since the beginning, since they are very young. And so they grow in the My Little Fish schools, and we have 6 of them in Parnaíba Delta. It's an amazing ministry. And like coconut oil and other social projects also. Sports centers, there are 2 sports centers. And so Piauí and Maranhão, our missionaries are doing a great job. Now we go to the mouth of the Amazon River, talking about Pará and Amapá states. They are both the same reality. Our base there is in Macapá, the capital for the Amapá state. There are no roads to get there. You have to cross the Amazon River, and to go from Belém to Macapá in a ferry, for example, if you have your car there, that will be 33 hours non-stop trip. But that's because there is an island there, the Marajó Island. And the Marajó Island at the mouth of the Amazon River is as big as Belgium in Europe. So it's huge. And around there, it's actually a cluster, a couple of clusters, Bailique cluster and Marajó cluster. There are more than 300 islands in that place where the people we reach are. Pretty much, Afuá is one of the bases that is in the first cluster, Marajó cluster. It's a town with no streets like this. Everything is on stilts. And from there, our team goes to the most remote communities. And we also have ministries far away from Afuá. One of the projects we are doing today is the Ponto de Rede. It's a school that teaches by internet. So we have a partnership with the federal government that provides us with the internet signal from satellite. They pay for that. And we use our church as schools. And we have partnerships with several schools, even universities. So it's a new project. We have 21 at this point, but we can grow to 27 in less than 1 year. So now let's go deep into the Amazon window. There are more than 10,000 communities with no gospel in that area. Our newest outreach is there, Juruá River. We are talking about two states, Amazon state and Acre state. They are huge. All the legal Amazon is more than 5 million square kilometers, what would be half of the land of the USA, even considering Alaska. So we are talking about a huge area. And you think, how can we reach a place as big as that with boats that navigate 10 knots an hour or 7 knots an hour against the stream? So it's a big task, but it's possible. We are going from place to place, establishing bases, and from those bases, we are reaching the communities between them. And there, we don't talk about hours of trip. We talk about days or weeks. So how many weeks from here to there? So we have teams along the Purus River, and we have teams along the Juruá River. Along the Juruá River, that is our newest outreach. We have 3 teams working from 3 different bases, Irunepé, Ipixuna, and Envira. And we have 2 partnerships there already, so we start since the scratch bringing the Brazilian church with us. So along the years they will be comfortable, and part of it we will step down, step back, they will take over, and we go to an unreached area again. This is what we do time after time. Along the Purus River, today we are finalizing an agreement between EMAF and another missionary organization, and they will take over part of our ministry to 27 villages in the middle Purus. Our partnerships along the Purus, 2 of them are doing super, and we are surveying a new area between Pauini, one of our bases, and Boca do Acre, a place with no gospel during these days. That will be our next outreach. So wait for the next. We praise the Lord for your help. We praise the Lord for the partnership we have together. And there is much to be done, but there is much to celebrate also. God bless you.
That's it. So sorry about the accent, but I will keep destroying your language. Not because I like it, but I try to do my best. Um, a very interesting thing that is going on during these days um, is when I mentioned the ponto de rede. The we are we never realized how interested a guy in the bushes or in the jungle can be or might be in terms of studies. I thought if we ever have a project like that, because some years ago, satellite communication for internet would be impossible even to think about. Now we got it there, and that one of the projects the government invited us to. Um, and the government said we have internet. Can you use it? Yeah, we can. We can do that, and we put together the project for teaching people. So in my mind, I thought those those practical studies will be nice, and people will attach to that. But those deeper, I don't know. I'm not sure. But just in case, we made all the partnerships with things like teaching sewing machine to medicine, to be a physician, but not thinking that anyone would ever get those big ones. Guess what? At the mouth of the Amazon River, there is a guy in his second year, almost in his second year, finishing his first year, almost in this, maybe he's in the second year already, is studying to be a physician on the internet. COVID helped us because the it's in Paraguay. He studies like the university is in Paraguay, not in Brazil. So in Brazil, we don't offer like that kind of course 100% by internet. But this Paraguayan uh, school, medicine school, because the COVID said, no, we will put all the classes, the theoretical classes, together in these first years. So when it's done, we call people back, and so we provided the practical part of the course. So they concised the theoretical um, classes instead of like in 3 or 4 years, in 2 years, everything by internet, and that's what that guy is studying. One of them. So in the middle of the jungle, no electricity, nothing. The guy is studying to be a physician. This is an exception. Most of people go for more practical stuff, but just to give you an idea how important it is. And I was telling this story, and a wealthy man, a wealthy Canadian said, "Oh, it's hard for me to get satellite internet in my cottage. It's not a cottage; it's a palace, and in the Muskoka area, and you guys have it in the jungle." Yes, yeah, praise the Lord, we do. So this is the interesting thing going on, and there are others. One just when I was listening, one came to my mind that I forgot, but if I remember, I will tell you soon. So there are many. Oh, wow, yeah, I remembered when we it's touching, this is touching, when we started answering those villages starving, like I told you this morning, they when they shut schools and stopped the boats going back and forth, all this starvation that came up, we we had food enough for the entire communities, all the communities, including the ones we were not reaching yet. So we ended up in places where we had never been to preach. Because preaching takes a long time. You have to break the ice, you have to gain the right of speaking, and it takes a lot of time. It's all about relationship. You don't go there, deliver something by the microphone and go back. No, it's relationship. So it takes a lot of time. So we go in one area, we reach this area. Afterwards, we add a new area, or we get more missionaries and we add another area. It goes slowly. But when you are delivering food, you go to all of them. And this is one of our students. He's going to be one of our missionaries in the future. He's in like a missionary in training, and he's a local guy in the Juruá River, our newest outreach. We have been there for 1 year. We started it in the second year of COVID. We started that missionary field, and that boy was so, he knows because he's one of them. So he knows how important that food was, and he put more food parcels than he could and should, just to give a chance to provide more to people. What happened is that he's pretty close to sink, and in his boat, exactly, the boat belongs to his father, not to him. But he was pretty close to sink because it was so full of food parcels. Actually, our guys, because they were working several areas, didn't see what he was doing, but we saw the picture. And so our leader there called the guy and said, I know that you love those people, but this is not the way we do it. It's very dangerous. But when the fishing, the riverside community saw that guy in trouble, oh, that boat is going to sink, they come with their boats to help him. And naturally, he's coming to help them. And that was in an area where we didn't have preached yet. And now these guys who are going to be helped are helping, and they come together to the community. When they get there, they want to know more about this crazy guy ready to die to help them. Who are you? Why did you do that? So dangerous. And like I couldn't even think about people starving because when I was a boy, and he told his story, and and he said, "Okay, tell us more." And he shared the gospel to those people. And he started from, "Have you ever heard about Jesus?" And the answer was just like the one my wife got when she was called to these people. Jesus, no, he does not live here. Maybe he lives in another village. They had no clue who Jesus was, even the name they didn't know. So this man explains from scratch, and all the community except two men made a decision to follow Jesus from the bottom of their hearts in a place we had never been before. So it's, if you ask me, Marcio, it's not a nice story to tell because no, it's not. He's supposed not to do that. But this is what happened. So I'm just passing to you what happened. People went there to help him. The, wait, six canoes came to help him to yeah, so he didn't sink. So we are starting new outreaches by responding to that hard problem. And I didn't tell you this morning, but on top of the COVID, we had the worst flood. Maybe you heard about that or you read about that. The worst flood in 120 years. So the COVID was already hitting them. Starvation was getting there, and the water didn't stop cover their houses. So they had to go to the high areas that there are not many there, and to find a place to survive. Many of them stayed in our bases, but they had to go to flee for their lives. And there are also always awful stories of kids, like especially toddlers. Is that right? Yeah, dying during that moment because the water is here. Like, so the toddler used to play there. Now it's water, and they go and disappear. So unfortunately, there are some of those stories also during those days. So there are sad stories, beautiful stories all together. Uh, Being there, doing that is very exciting, believe me. And thank you for being together. Oh, all of them, all of them. and no one died. All the sorry, all our missionaries, 100% of them got COVID, all of them. We had to fly one mother and one the entire family for Eduardo 2 times, poor guy, 2 times, and the lady in Afua that has the little daughter, she she has always been single, but she got in love with that girl and adopted her as a single, and she's a missionary. And both of them got COVID. For the girl was not bad, but for her, oh, that was so. We had to really take good care of her. Our daughter in the second COVID, and the first one she couldn't hold it. The second one, that was close. And praise the Lord, she's alive, doing well. And yeah, see, yeah, she called me. She didn't want to leave there, the place, but that is a little place with no any equipment to help you to breathe. So and this COVID, and she had command as asthma, yeah, when she was a little girl. So during the last years, she's okay, but it's for her, diseases in her lungs are harder than to most of people. And she calls me and said, "Hey, Dad, hey," blah, 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 like that. So I thought, oh well, in 24 hours, if she does not have help, she will die. And I was praying. You can imagine in the other side of of the telephone, myself in São Paulo, and she was in the Amazon, like what, 4 hours flying away. Oh, that was sad. And praise the Lord, we could put her in one plane, so in another plane, and she came to our place, and she got better, better, and is still there working. Actually, during these 3 next months, she has her post graduation is on counseling, and she put together a course for our leaders on how to help our missionaries emotionally on counseling. And she's teaching this course, and we are learning from her. Every Monday we are there for 3 hours, internet. And she's good, she's good.